Hello, team, and welcome to episode 17, Getting to Know All About You. Team, today we will be addressing a complex, useful word, which is get. And even though it's three letters, it's a big word with many different uses. And today, specifically, we will be focusing on how to use get together with a verb. And I'm going to go right to the first mistake I sometimes see. My Brazilian students will understand this one, which is getting to know. So, starting this one off with a little old song, Getting to Know You. One warning I will say is that this will get stuck in your mind like glue, but this song will also help you remember that you need to use get when talking about the process of getting to know somebody. We'll get into that it's a little bit more detail soon. So, team, some questions for you to practice. What is your favorite classic film? A bonus question. What is a classic film? My students told me that Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings are already classics. Ugh, felt old. My personal favorite classic movie, probably Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan, especially the old ones. That would be my favorite classic film. How about you? Next up, on Tuesday, it was Sir Bill, Mr. William Shakespeare, the Bard of Avon's birthday, his 460th birthday, to be precise. Also his death day. Apparently he died on his birthday, very sad. But the Bard was also responsible for many words that we use, not just in English, but in other languages. I know there's a bunch that we use in Portuguese. Check out some of these phrases that Shakespeare invented. You will be surprised. Words that you use every single day. So take a look. Also, have you read any of Shakespeare's plays? A little bit old. The English might be a little bit confusing. He uses a very old form of English, but a lot of them are classics. Here in Minas, we eat cheese with guava, with some sweet guava, and we call it a Romeo and Juliet. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're so different in taste, but his influence has been felt throughout the years. So, our grammar point, get to plus verb. And the first one we talked about is get to know versus know. In Portuguese, we use know for both. You are knowing somebody or you know somebody. But in English, know is a stative verb. Nothing happens. So you can either know or not know somebody or something. Now, if you're talking about the process, the transition from not knowing to know, you need that get. So, some examples. I've gotten to know many interesting people through my classes. I really have. Some awesome people. Livia and Luis got to know Vienna last year. Lucky them. They convinced me that I want to go there too. But that is the first use and probably the most important one that we will see today in class. Number two, also important, it's kind of a bonus, some spice, some sauce you can add to your English, which is to use get to create the feeling of an opportunity. So when we use the infinitive form, to do, to be, to go, to watch, to play, to the simplest form of the verb, we can use get to talk about having an opportunity. So Larissa got to travel to Miami for a conference this year. I could say Larissa traveled to Miami. It's not a problem. It's very literal. But when I add that got, it's like, yes, she had this opportunity. They asked, who speaks English, who's prepared for this? And she was the one who was chosen. So congratulations, Miss Larissa, as well. Lise gets to pick the next family movie. I will bet anybody 100 reais that she's going to pick Wish again. But it is her chance. She's the one who gets to pick. And a good example of this get to is right here. Some people, I have to go to the gym. If you change it to I get to go to the gym, all of a sudden it's a positive feeling. Last up, number three, get to with the ing form. Some of my students might say, why didn't you say that after the to? It always comes the base verb. Well, it's an exception, and I don't focus on exceptions, but in this case, you have this option. Again, this is an option that you can add to kind of talk about a hard transition into something. Time to get to studying for the big test tomorrow. You could say time to study, it's fine. But as soon as you say time to get to studying, it's like, no more of this nonsense. Now it's time to really focus. Let me put down my phone and get to cleaning the house. Who has not been there where you're like, oh my God, I've been here for 30 minutes. So no more cell phone, time to get to cleaning the house. And team, for you to practice, what is an opportunity you got recently? For you to not need to use the word opportunity. So I got to travel, I got to watch. The other day, I arrived at Lisa's school and I got to see her in class. Studying. It was fun. She didn't know I was there. It was a very cool experience. Also, this one right here, I want to call your attention. Get to work is already a kind of a specific phrase. So we use it like you would say get to work. How do you stop procrastinating and get to work? That hard stop. And in this case, you don't need the ing. You could say get to working as well. It's not a problem. But it is common to hear time to get to work. All right. Next up, we have a game. It's a fun game. I've played this game many times with my students. And if you've had class with me, I've probably done it with you, especially in the group classes. And it is one of my favorite icebreakers. Expression of the week. The word icebreaker, to break the ice, was also created by Mr. William Shakespeare. I think it was in his second play, The Taming of the Shrew. Is Taming of the Shrew? It's something like that. Somebody check it for me. I need a Jamie, like Joe Rogan. But this game, 2 truths, 1 lie, is a great way for you to practice with your friends, your family. I recommend having a little bit of time to prepare. So you might say, oh, later we will play, because then the examples are more interesting. But each person makes 3 sentences, 2 true, 1 false. And your goal is to make people guess the other one. And you get 1 point for each wrong answer. That's my favorite way to break the ice with my students. But how about you? What is your favorite way to break the ice? I guess I'll leave you with mine. So 2 true and 1 false. Number 1, I have traveled to Rome specifically to study art. Number 2, when my bulldog, Ozzy, was alive, he once damaged a car and I had to pay to fix it. 2. And number 3, I once made my uncle stop the car to show me a monkey in the trunk of the car. Which one do you think is the lie? Let me know, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. But I'll tell you the story behind it. Okay? What is something you're really bad at? This is sometimes a great way to break the ice, this type of question. For example, I don't dance. I don't ride a bike. I'm not really good at staying in the sun for too long. So sometimes what somebody is bad at can be a great way to break the ice as well. How about you? What's something you're really bad at? Something that you will not be turning into a profession. And our last activity, you get a car, Miss Oprah Winfrey. She is a master of making good connections. I've seen her show a few times, and it feels like she's talking right to you. You see the people at her show. It's almost like she's their best friend. So this is a little video about how Oprah makes connections. It's a little bit longer, 12 minutes. It's the weekend. You'll be fine. And some questions for you to practice. What is something you're proud of but never get to brag about? Vocab word, to brag. It's to say good things about yourself. It can be a little bit negative, but for this, it's just a fun ice-breaking question. What is something you're proud of but never get to brag about? I'm proud of my my ability to kind of see what people need in my class. I spend a lot of time in the square, and sometimes somebody needs a more fun class. Sometimes people just need to talk. Sometimes people need to be pushed a little bit. So I'm pretty good at figuring out what people need out of an English class. And our 10th, our final question, it's more of a philosophical question. When do you stop getting to know someone and start knowing someone? How do you reach this point? What are your thoughts? That's your last question of the week. Let me see if there's anything else. I'm going to leave you with a quote again from Mr. Shakespeare. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. So, one final question, what part will you play now? Team, thank you. Signing off. Like always, thank you for participating, for watching. I hope to see you in class.